Sort of. Got to stay at least sort of on schedule. That's how the world works. Hey, everybody. We're back. It's another day in this world. And, people are getting in trouble for weird things in their online classes. And, sometimes even kind of unsettling. Like, these stories are, sort of distressing in a way.
It's actually interesting that you mentioned that because I am now in trouble for showing up 30 seconds late to this. People who are new to the podcast, there's this very intense system of discipline when you show up 30 seconds late to the stream. Kennedy, he has a leather belt, and usually he uses it for other purposes, but for this one, just attacking, it's not great. Hey, Alyssa. So, with that kind of in an eggshell, do y'all want to talk about, before we even get into the newsworthiness of some of these discipline stories, all of us have kind of dealt with that in our own lives, right? Mm-hmm. You've seen at least one case where the teacher is just being overly controlling, and you just did not have the means to get through it and deal with it. Leslie, Can you talk a little bit? You growing up in the 70s, you must have some educational injustice.
I was expelled, what should have been my senior year, for beating up a teacher's daughter, but it wasn't my fault. I was actually trying to prevent a fight, didn't know who I was talking to, ended up in a fight, gave her 27 stitches, and I got expelled.
You got 27 stitches, or gave her?
I gave her 27 stitches.
Oh, okay.
I split her eye from here to here.
Woo! Okay, and this was accidentally, right? Or
okay. So the story is, my best friend, who was crazy, wanted to beat up this girl who she heard was sleeping with her boyfriend. I was new and said, hey, you know what? Why don't I go try to be peacemaker before you go kill this girl? Let me go talk to her, since I have no skin in the game. I'm new to the area. I'm new to school. I'm new, she doesn't know me from Adam. Let me see if I can talk to her, get her to back off of your boyfriend, Darren, if that's what's going on, so that you guys can talk and break up or do whatever. So she agreed. I went to her and I was like, hey, Melanie, I know you don't know me, but this is the sitch. And could you, I don't know if what the rumors that we've been hearing are true or not. I don't know. I don't care. But you know Becky, and she will kill you. So could you back off of her a little bit, or back off of him if that's what's going on, so that they can talk and break up or do whatever?
Right.
And her response...
This all seems extremely chill, extremely rational, extremely cool. So how'd it go wrong?
Her response was, well, if you think you're so bad, then kick my ass. And I said, did you not hear what I just said? And so I repeated it, and she said it again. And I said, okay, you know what? It's your funeral. I'm out. And I walked off.
Okay.
So throughout the day, and she had this posse. So throughout the day, every time she and her posse would walk past me, they would mumble some shit at me. And I ignored it until lunchtime. And I was sitting on a bench outside the lunchroom, and her posse walked past me, as they had been doing all day, mumbling some shit, and I ignored it. And then they walked around the corner and behind me, and something made me turn around and look at her. And when I did, I saw her mouth the word whore. That's the last thing I remember.
Boy, it's good to know people are not just bold on Twitter. They are bold in real life too.
Yeah. And so the next thing I remember was I couldn't see anything, and something was tapping on my head. So I took a step backwards and I threw my arms up in the air, and realized the reason I couldn't see was a teacher had me in a headlock. So my face was buried into his chest.
There's a lot There's a lot going on here. Okay.
Wait, and what I felt tapping on my head was I had her in a headlock down on the ground, wailing on her face, and she was trying to hit me, but all she could reach was the top of my head.
Okay, I got it.
When I threw my arms up, everybody kind of took a step backwards. And I looked at the teacher, I looked at her face was covered in blood. I looked at my hand was covered in blood. So I looked at the teacher and I said, can I go to the nurse's office? She bled all over my hand.
First of all, this is the content that we crave on this show. This is what it's really all about.
Wait, there's more to the story.
How can there possibly be more to that story?
So the teacher says, yeah. So I go to the nurse's office. So I'm sitting there waiting to be seen by the nurse, and a cop comes in, like the resource officer or whatever the hell. Mm-hmm. And he pulls a pad out of his pocket and he goes, so what was this all about? So I explained. And he flips open the pad and he goes, no, it's because she was sleeping with your boyfriend, a Scott Boast. And I said, who told you that? And he said, she did.
Wow.
So the reason why she came at me the way she did was because she wasn't sleeping with Becky's boyfriend. She was sleeping with mine. And she thought I knew.
Now this shit all makes fucking complete sense.
So she got the ass beaten by the correct person. I just didn't know.
This is wow. So you didn't have to feel bad about the suspension / expulsion.
Yeah, but and the reason why her mother was a teacher at the high school, and the reason why she got me expelled was she said I was a threat to the student body and the faculty, all 105 pounds of me.
Of course. Well, you did bust her daughter open.
I did.
That's
and
right.
we did have to pay for her reconstructive surgery.
Wow. She could have got some next. Okay. That's wow.
Yeah. What's really even funnier is like several months later, I went to a party and I walked in the door and I hear this commotion in the kitchen and I hear my name like over and over and over again. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And then somebody came up to me and said, Melanie's in the back. And I was like, oh, okay. So I walked in the back and literally she was surrounded by people and she was trying to like make herself small in the kitchen. And I walked straight up to her and I said, Melanie, look, I never had anything against you. Have a beer. And I walked off.
And hopefully you've never seen that person since.
No, I've never seen her again.
Lord.
Mm-mm. And that was school here in Florida. In Illinois, the school that I went to where we used to have the slave days in junior high.
The great school that we all love.
Yeah. They used to do things like if you got caught with gum, like chewing gum, you had to put it on your nose.
Okay. So they're just being
all day.
A bunch of weird, petty people.
Yeah. And if you didn't want to wear the gum on your nose, you could put a piece of paper on it and then cut eye holes. So you just basically walked around with a piece of paper stuck to your face with eye holes, stuck to gum. Yeah, school was weird in the 70s. And I still remember a friend of mine got caught with gum walking out of school one day. And even though school was over, the teacher who caught her made her stand on a table in the library because that's where all the bus kids waited for the bus. She had to stand on a table, put gum on her nose while the bus kids had to stand and point at her going, bad gum, evil gum, bad gum, evil gum, until the bus came.
This sounds like a story that you just made up off the top of your head.
Nope.
These people have got to get a grip, man. People have got to they've got to get a grip.
Yeah.
That was just like, but what was that really authentically about? That was really about like having the means to control people's behavior.
Yeah, it was
just making sure that like if they can get you to be obedient on like gum, it's easier to get you to comply with other stuff.
Oh, exactly. I mean, school was definitely not necessarily about learning. It was definitely about learning to conform,
Yeah, yeah,
doing as you were told, which I didn't really fit into. So yeah, I mean, schools. I know, having two kids that went through the whole, American school system.
yeah,
It's a little better, but still, the whole control that schools have over children who schools in America, at least in my opinion, I think they crush individualism.
yeah. I cannot disagree.
I mean,
And I
I
think
don't necessarily understand. I mean, I guess I understand why to an extent, but
I
it
mean,
breaks my heart.
when they started the school system, this was all about, um, factory learners, because those workers at the time were working in factories, and they had to those skills were very important to just being able to function on a factory. You got to get up when there's a bell, right? You've got to go to another area. You've got to be able to do stuff without doing too much talking. Like, it's stuff that's like meant for you to work in an assembly line. Um, it's just that the problem is, that kind of mindset is not as relevant, since, like, our goal is not just to, like, an assembly line, but to have people who are able to work in groups, able to work in collaboration with others.
Well, how about being able to think like an individual? I mean, when did that become a bad thing?
Like a few years ago. Like,
No, it was the same when I was in school. Being an individual was not okay. And one of the things that I think about, like, millennials and Gen Zers, are that you guys have pushed being individuals much more than Gen Xers did. We even anarchists like me, which I really wasn't. I just didn't really follow
right.
directions.
You just
But
got hit with that label because that was just what they needed to use, in order to kind of alienate you.
yeah, well, that, and I mean, teachers would do things like tell other people's parents not to let them hang with you when I was in school. Things that I don't think that they do. At least I didn't see with my kids.
Yeah. That's actually leads into, my story about education. I'm actually let's take a very short 30 seconds. We'll come back. I'll share my education story,
Mhm.
and we'll kind of tie all these things in. We'll be right back. Somebody on here really said, "Hi, are you full color or half and half?" I don't need to elevate some of these comments. Some of y'all
Wait, who are they talking to? You or me?
This is a random. I don't know. I feel like both of us look full color. I mean, I got a light on this right
Well,
here.
first of all, I've never used the word colored to describe myself because I'm not 80.
I have to assume that, like, I don't have to assume that. Coolio, I was gonna be like, maybe this person's 70, and you had a little Thanos avatar, so we can't even give you like some room for that.
Yeah.
Just get it together.
I mean, I'm old and I don't use the word
colored. That would be like if someone on here like called you a negress, you would be more baffled, like offended, I guess, but also like, where
are you from?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, my 94-year-old stepdad doesn't even use colored.
Colored.
So to answer the question, both my parents were dark-skinned black people. How about that?
Yeah, exactly. And likewise on this end of things.
But
I do have some nice lighting today, and I've got like.
Yeah, you do look very, very golden.
Yes, I look very Drake-like today. That's a little, but it's okay.
Well, I've even got braids today.
It's all okay. It's all valid. I've got my story is just teachers would egg people on to fight, like at our school. Like
Really?
teachers were just bad. Yeah. Like they would like low key pass along like rumors and stuff to other kids. Like especially if they thought that they had a grudge against the kid or the kid was like mouthing off to them, they would like not every single teacher, but we had a couple of teachers who would like instigate confrontations between the teachers and the students, and it was just the weirdest thing. And it was just extreme institutional ungoodness. We had teachers that would, and because you have a teacher system, and they're unfortunately they're not just teaching; they also have to like be in charge of discipline, like these things that nobody actually hired them to do, but they have to do it anyway. So there's not like one real system of justice. You can go to one teacher and that teacher will write a detention every time that you're in the class. There's somebody that goes to detention. And there's other classrooms where the teacher is like scared of the students and just let them roll the teacher. Um
I did a
and
little of that.
yeah, and this yeah, because they saw what you did at that
No,
damn
not here,
high
not in
school.
Florida. I did
They
it in
said,
Illinois.
but either way, the kids just kind of just ran wild, and so it's not a good in between. It leads to just things being unpredictable and weird. So in the news, this kid, he was I believe 8 years old. He's playing with a toy gun, and the teacher actually, oh, the kid is 12. I actually found the article right here. In Colorado, this mother, was at her job, and the school officials call her at her job and say that the cops are there because her son's art teacher saw him point a gun at the screen. Right? Okay, dramatic. So Isaiah's teacher emailed his mother to let her know he'd been playing with this device during class. It was a toy gun. The child has ADHD. So if you imagine, first of all, I don't know whether there's a daddy in the picture or not that's staying home with the kid, but let's assume like the kid's either at home or maybe with an older sibling. Children are not really made, especially like a 12-year-old child is not really built for online learning, especially to the extent that they have to like not just sit straight, but also
Self-regulate.
they have to look right into this for 8 hours. That's not normal at all.
No.
Like even if you go to any school, you go to the school and the kids are like talking in the back or they're playing with something or they're writing with something. So no human being can pay that much attention to anything, for that much time. And then the kid has ADHD on top of that. So it's like, what, of course they're going to mess around with whatever's in reach. The teacher knew it was a toy, but contacted the vice principal, who in turn contacted the school resource officer. I never thought you can't play with a Nerf gun in your own home because somebody may perceive it as a threat and call the police on you. This woman's mother told the newspaper. So, yeah, it's mind-boggling, and I can actually find the tweet as well.
Well, I saw the story and I saw a picture of the gun. It's half green. Like neon green. Yeah.
It's goofy. It's just like a regular, it says zombie hunter on the side of it. Now maybe the webcam is not like so high regulation, but it's like it's an arcade gun.
Mm-hmm.
It's clearly a toy gun. So what's going on with this teacher? That they like called the cops knowing it was a toy gun.
And then use the excuse that we have to make sure that the student isn't a threat or a harm to themselves.
With a toy gun? If the kid was playing with a real gun, obviously you call the police.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because like
But I don't understand why there was a next step once
Right.
they found out it was a fake gun.
Right. Like, is it the same if it's like Elmo? Like, nobody's calling the cops on Elmo. And obviously there's no difference in the threat posed by Elmo and the threat posed by the toy gun.
Oh no, I'll give you something better. How about a toy sword that's plastic?
Yeah.
So it looks like a weapon, and I mean technically it is a weapon if you hit somebody with it, but it's not the deadly weapon that a real sword would be. Would she have called on that?
What if it's a gun that has no resemblance to a real human being gun? What if it's like a purple Nerf gun, or what if it's a phaser from Star Trek? And I know a kid that's 12 would not be playing with Star Trek, but y'all are
It might
old.
be. I would have been.
Yeah,
I'm a dork.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this kid's got Zombie Hunter on the side of the gun, so it's not like the kid's not into science fiction anyway. Maybe it's the phaser from Star Trek. Either way, at what point are we calling the cops and like ruining this kid's damn day?
This is my thought about it. My thought about it. As the mother of a kid who's on the spectrum, my oldest is on the spectrum. He was not diagnosed until he was 22 because no one would listen to me.
Right.
So teachers made the assumption that he had ADHD.
Right.
His kindergartner came to me and said, "Isn't there something you can put him on?"
Jesus.
So he's my first child.
You have such a nice sounding voice that when you like recount horrible stories, I'm always like, oh, that sounds nice. Wait a second. That's awful.
Yeah. No, it was not nice. But it's my first child. I'm a new mom. You know, I say new. He was 4 because he was a young kindergartner.
Feels brand new.
Yeah, but it's new for me. And she was like, "Isn't there something you could put him on?" So I took him to the doctor. I got him Ritalin. Luckily, he's like me, and he's hypersensitive to medication. So within 2 days, he was a complete bastard. And I went, nope. And I took him off, and I told her, you know what? He's just a kid. You're his teacher. You're going to have to learn to deal.
Yeah.
And his kindergarten year was rough. It really was. The things that they did to him, they kept separating him because he couldn't control himself. As a matter of fact, because he has Asperger's, or what used to be called Asperger's, he has issues with personal space. So he was punching people in the face who were getting too close to him, because they used to have to sit outside before class. So I used to have to go and sit next to him and literally back kids off and go, look, you can talk to him, but you have to maintain distance because he doesn't like that. So I had to teach the class how to deal with him because the teacher had no clue.
Well,
and on the last day of school, here's the really sad part. My kid, because he has Asperger's, he didn't know how to read people's facial expressions or anything. So he didn't know that this teacher didn't like him. So on the last day of school, he went to hug her goodbye and she gave him the hand.
Wow.
And it was everything I could do not to kick her ass.
Yeah, you would have been expelled from society.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. It's just mind blowing that they think of this as a rational. They think of that as a, and the reason why this thing escalated is because apparently somebody got some memo that they needed to treat the virtual class settings as the same as the real settings. So that when she called that vice principal, the vice principal was like, we need to treat this like the kid packed a gun to school, like, and brandished it or whatever. And I don't know what the difference is between the toy and the real in terms of the suspension, but the kid got 5 days suspension, right? So it's just mind blowing. It's just mind blowing.
Well, that still doesn't make any sense, because I'm thinking, okay, so you have to treat online learning as you do in-school learning. So really, is a toy gun going to get the police called?
In a
Like if the teacher can take a hold of it,
we
and
have
see
these
that
zero
it's a toy gun.
we have these zero tolerance rules. So I wouldn't even be totally sure that I wouldn't be totally sure that they would not call the police. I would not be 100. Like, there's a chance they would do it.
That just boggles my brain. I mean, I get zero tolerance if it was a real firearm, but it's a toy. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But again, I'm an anarchist who didn't listen to shit in school and used to show up with no shoes on, and I had my own desk in detention. So in high school,
There you go. That one again. How's that going?
I did. I had my own desk, and our detention was a basement room underneath the gym. So yeah, it was a little weird.
So,
So what would you do, Brandon, if this was your kid?
I'd take them out. I would homeschool them.
But not everybody's got that option. So what do you do? This mother obviously doesn't have that option because she was at work when all this happened. And if I remember correctly, she is a single mom. So she didn't have an option. She felt her child was old enough to do schooling from home, but she didn't have an option to actually
think of, I've got to clean my they talk about just being poor makes you just paranoid as hell. Her level of paranoia didn't clearly reach the level of heights that I've got to scrub my room before I I got to scrub my child's room of toys before I can consider like letting my child be alone with the system.
That would have never crossed my mind.
Right.
Never. And my kids have done some dumbass shit, and that still never would have crossed my mind.
No, it's ridiculous. It's so overly restrictive that it's like hard to even imagine.
Well, I've been saying since COVID,
and I think that that's kind of racialized. I don't think that like a white kid playing with a toy gun gets the same amount of red alert reaction. Like if there was some little white kid playing with a cowboy gun, I don't think that the cops get called because like the kid is developmentally, ADHD and he's got his Old Town Road hat on or whatever, and he plays with a little toy pistol. The teacher in their head just goes yeehaw on some instinctual level, instead of I've got to kick this up the ladder. And then once the teacher kicks it up the ladder, and it's hard to, I don't know what the system is over there. Maybe the teacher like has to cover their own ass. If I see, like, we don't know what the assistant principal gave to them as a speech. We don't know what the school board gave to them as a speech. Right. It's not always my first instinct to like that person that's working at the ground level, like get them fired, get them harassed, get them whatever, because like maybe they were assholes, but also like maybe they're being coerced in the same way you get coerced at your job. But either way, it got kicked up the ladder in the way that was harmful to the kid for no reason.
Well, my oldest shut down 2 schools accidentally.
What happened? What happened? What happened?
So their dad and I are in the process of a divorce.
Okay.
And he was being kind of crazy. And He was threatening to come take the little one. And he was leaving like messages on my voicemail saying he was going to come take the little one. So I said, okay, look, I've got to get a restraining order because I don't know what he's going to do.
Right.
So I told him, I sent him an email or a text that I was going to get a restraining order.
Okay.
While I'm downtown doing that, he decided that was the day he wanted to go have lunch with the kids.
Okay. So
who were at two different schools.
so he would pick them up.
The youngest? No, he was going to have lunch at each of the kids' schools because they're different schools at different lunches, different times. So he decides the day that I'm going to get a restraining order, that's when he's going to go to the school to have lunch with the kids, even though he hadn't done it prior, ever.
Okay.
So I'm downtown, just coming back from getting the restraining order, when I get a call from my youngest school saying that my soon-to-be ex had called and said he was coming to lunch with the little one. And I had called both schools telling them what I was doing beforehand. So the youngest kid's school called me to tell me that that's what had happened and told me that they told him not to come because they knew I was getting the restraining order.
Why didn't he call you? Well, obviously for obvious reasons. If he really wanted to do that, like, hey, I'm about to like be cut off. I want to see them one more time, and he had just called you. It probably would have been a different. The reason why he didn't call you is because he wanted to do this shit on the slide. Is what I'm saying.
Right, and he did it knowing that I was downtown getting the restraining order at that moment. Yeah. So I get this call, and I'm standing in a group of cops.
Yeah.
When I get this call, and so I'm like, I don't know what to do. And they said, well, then the school said, you need to come get your son right now. So I'm like, okay. And they said, you also need to go get your oldest at school.
Well, thank you.
Thank you
for
like,
that out.
Okay. So one's in grade school, one's in high school. Okay. So I'm like, okay. I'm even though they told me to do this, I'm standing I'm surrounded by a bunch of cops going, I don't know what to do. And so one of the cops was like, look, call the high school, tell them, what's going on, and tell them that you'll meet them there with the police. So I call them, and then he says, call the police and have them meet you there. So I called my local police department, and they blow me off.
Of course.
So the cop says, give me the phone. So the cop talked to the local police department, talked to them, explained what was going on, had them meet me at my oldest school. So I get there.
Do you remember what the cop said? He just put bass in his voice and they listened?
Basically, he was like, look, this is a mom who's in the middle of getting a restraining order against her ex who tried to kill her, and he's doing all this stuff. You need to take this seriously and meet her at this school, and then you're going to follow her to her other child's school to pick him up.
Right.
And they were like, okay. So I get to the school, I go to the office, and like the SWAT team was at school. And I get ushered into the office, and they had shut down the school. And I didn't know why. So they bring my son in, and like I said, there's cops running back and forth in and out of the office, and they're yelling at each other, and they're just yelling stuff. And then they're yelling at me, going, so what's going on? And what's your ex-husband going to do? And blah, blah. And I'm stunned. I'm just like, what? I don't understand why everybody's yelling and freaking out. And right. I'm trying to be calm, but I don't know why everybody's freaking out. And so my son comes in, and he's just kind of sitting quietly while all of this is going on. And then there's two cops sitting in the hallway, and I hear them talking to each other. And one of them goes, well, I don't know what kind of gun. And I said, gun? What gun? And they both slowly turned around and looked at me, and they said, well, isn't your ex-husband, didn't he threaten to show up here with a gun? And I said,
I hadn't heard that.
Who do that? And my son goes, that might have been me.
Wow.
Because what happened was,
go ahead.
He went to the counselor's office to talk about what was going on. And the counselor asked him, does your father own any guns? And right. He said, yes. And he said, well, was it possible that your dad might show up here with the gun? And my son said, I don't know. Anything's possible.
Right. Yeah, I see.
And they panicked.
Wow.
So we got escorted out of the school by a SWAT team. He couldn't come back for a week. My little one, now I had to go pick up my little one where no cops met me, and he couldn't go back to school for a week.
That's incredible.
And they sent out like notices about the show. It was like, yeah.
How is your ex-husband doing though?
Fine, I guess.
He's alive. Is he alive? Wow, that's incredible.
Wait, the oldest one lives with him right now.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, are they getting along?
I don't know. I haven't spoken to my children in 3 years.
Oh, okay. Oh,
because of what happened with the second husband.
Yeah. Okay. That's a long story.
Yeah, and I won't get into that.
For a different episode.
Yeah, but just so you know, as pissed off as I am at both of my ex-husbands, there's a part of me that will always love both of them.
Right.
Always.
Of course.
Especially my first husband. We were married for 20 years. We were together for 22, and we have two children together. I mean, how could I not? We grew up together. We met when we were 18.
Good Lord.
And he left 2 weeks before I turned 40.
Man, you imagine being with somebody for that long? I'm not 40 yet, but I'm imagining it. Wow.
Yeah, we met when I was 18. We moved in together when I was just before I turned 21, and we got married when I was 23.
So what I want to do, I want to take one more break. We'll come back, and I want to show you some rules that some of these school systems have set up right now. We've talked about it being kind of unjust in general. We're going to get specific. 30 seconds. We'll be back. So welcome back, y'all. Daily Stream. It's Brandon, Leslie here. We're just hanging out for a little bit. We stumbled across this yesterday, and actually I have to give credit to Karishma because she's the one that found this out, and she linked it to all of our accounts. And was like, look at this. How can we live in a system where y'all read her Twitter. She's just like that in real life all the time. It's incredible.
Brandon, can I ask? Is there something that says what the penalties are if you don't do any of these musts or if you do any of the knacks?
That's a great question. And usually it just I'm going to search for the text and see what this is an excerpt of. But, depending on the place there that it is, they usually have like in school suspension. But I don't know how to have in-school suspension like in that situation because you're out of school. In school is not even like a possible penalty.
Well, and the one was you must wear shoes. So do you have to stick your feet into your camera every day when you start class?
I don't know. I don't know who developed this and how it came through like all of the bureaucracy. Students must wear shoes came out for some reason. I'm just going to read it out loud. Students must have a quiet area, free of noise, no TV during virtual learning. Like, dude, what if they live with the dad who's a drunk and they're in the studio or some shit? But, okay. Also, some people live in areas where the people under them just make noise during the daytime. Right. But let's just stay quiet within reason. Let's just move on. Students cannot have covers or blankets on their body.
So if their house is cold, they're not allowed to be warm?
They can't wear hoodies or hats. So no, at some point, I'm going to defend the rule. Like, if you're at home, you must have if you are housed, your head situation, you probably are not have to wear a hat inside for your safekeeping. Maybe if there's a situation where like the heating is busted or something like that, and there's a blizzard.
Well, what if they woke up late and their hair's all disheveled and they don't want everybody to see it?
Well, you shouldn't have woken up late. These are the rules.
I couldn't be a student right now because I would be expelled again.
Yeah. Students must have on a shirt with sleeves. Why does it matter? Like this is stuff that comes from like this is broken Zoom windows policing. Uh, it's just broken Zoom windows. I
So
see one.
I couldn't be in school in this shirt.
No, you would be a distraction. I guess one person sees you
My
without
shoulders are distracting.
yeah. So one person sees you on. Oh, I'm messing up because all right now
I'm sorry, but shoulders are distracting.
that's right. So
Wait! I'm even more distracting. I'm barefoot.
oh, you're not wearing shoes. First of all, our viewership
I'm
skyrocket.
barefoot and shoulder bare.
But yeah, yeah, they also have a must-have shoes rule. But that is something that can't possibly cause a distraction. I don't even know when you'd be able to check this.
That's why I said, how do they know?
You know what? It must
I
be.
don't know if I have pants on right now.
You know what it is? You know what it is? I actually I figured this shit out.
What?
This comes from a dress code from some local private school or whatever that had like a casual day or wherever they found the list of rules. And they pasted this shit over without looking at it really that hard.
Yeah, see,
Like,
I was the type of student, and both my kids kind of are too, that they would test it. Like, do I have to show you my feet every day?
Yeah.
Do I have to show you that I don't have a blanket on my lap? Do I?
Actually, this is hurting this theory. Students must remain in class from 8:15 to 3 p.m. each day to receive full credit for the day and a class participation grade. I mean,
that one I get. That makes sense.
There's bounds of reason. I mean, like, obviously, I assume that the teachers are letting the students like go use the bathroom. But this is also a thing where there's not like, because it's so ad hoc, it's not like there's a system for how many minutes can a student be off screen before we question their whereabouts and their participation in the class. Right. So some teachers will be looser and some will be tighter. It's just like, yeah, you should be in the class during the day in general.
I still remember, did you have this issue? The first time I was in a college class and I had to go to the bathroom and I raised my hand. And the teacher was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I have to go to the bathroom." She's like, "Well, just get up and go." But it's drilled in your head from kindergarten to senior year that you're not allowed to just get up and walk out and do something. So like my brain, and I didn't go to college until I was in my 30s. I was 34, I think. I was 33 when I started. I could not get it through my head that I could just get up and leave.
No, it's wild. It just makes no absolute sense. One of these other rules that kind of sounds good, on the surface, but actually isn't when you really think about it. Students must show their faces on the screen. So like on one level, like it's good to like that you do need to see the kid is there, I guess. But also like what if the kid is in like really shitty surroundings? Like y'all are basically like asking what if they have a area that's not well lit? Like there are just so many variables that go into a person's like situation. Maybe what if they're houseless? Like all of these that like
I like the students should wear headphones while learning virtually to block out excess noise in their background. What if they can't afford that?
Yeah, what if the headphones are like busted that day? I guess it doesn't say must. Basically, like that's the way, because the teachers, all of this seems to be about, they don't want like adjusting anything on the Zoom. So like it's a quiet room and you're on mute, all this other stuff. It's just really sucks. It just sucks. Yeah, the headphones and the noise, just the idea of if there's anything that goes wrong, it's the student's fault.
Right. Like, okay, what if you've got pets? You know, you've heard my dogs go crazy.
Yeah.
What do? If you're a kid.
Yeah, I wish that the rules were a little bit more flexible, I guess, so that teachers can apply them in the situations that are appropriate. And I can
I just want to know. I want to know what are the consequences for not doing these things.
Also, let's talk about shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Asians, you ever been to a Muslim household? The idea that you would wear shoes anywhere inside the house would just not even be a possibility. That you would just.
I used to be a no shoes household.
Yeah, we also know lots of woke black ladies that are like, oh, this is the spirit. But also, like, yeah, it does track dirt, like literally.
Yeah, I had light carpets. I had 2 sons. You did not wear shoes in my house. Even when I had parties, people knew ahead of time, look, I'm going to make you take your shoes off when you get here. So, you know, clean your feet or wear good socks because I don't allow shoes on my carpet.
Yeah, it really just is completely baffling. Yeah, if you are from one of those backgrounds, you are wanting to not wear shoes in the house because those are the rules of your house. It just seems,
if you're Asian, I mean, they're looking for a lawsuit with this, really.
Yeah. Well, it's just they don't. It's really more telling that there wasn't anybody in the room to point out these kind of things.
Because in their minds, everyone is exactly the same, homogenized. Everyone's home is the same. Everyone's lifestyle is the same. That's what school is about. Everything is the same. Everybody's meant to learn to be the same. And I'm sorry, society doesn't work that way unless you're in the military. It just doesn't.
Yeah. How do you even enforce these rules?
Exactly.
What do you do? Like, I send you home? Like, they sent you back home. You please, sir, please close. Like, for real. If the student is wilding out, I guess you can kick them. Sir, please leave the room.
Turn your back to the screen so that I know you're there, but you're not looking at us. I mean,
time out time, sir. Turn your back to the screen.
That makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense.
Absolutely no sense. Yeah, and these are the things that we're all putting up with. Hold on. I'm gonna read a couple of these Twitter reactions, the funny ones. This is just cruel and unusual punishment for the teacher and kids. I don't work with young people to micromanage and police their bodies. What do any of those rules have to do with learning, education, building relationships? They suck the life out of schools. I noticed students must have a quiet area. Is the school going to provide that for them? Because I know a lot of people for whom that would not have been an option. Yeah, and this person is pointing out, also, isn't wearing the shoes in the house a massive cultural taboo for some people? My parents had the rule of no shoes, but it was mildly enforced. Yeah. Yeah, that's a long time to be sitting in front of a computer screen. That's very deeply true.
Yeah, and you think about that. When you're in school, you're not sitting in class from 8:15 to 3 o'clock. You sit in class for what, 45 minutes? And then there's a break where you walk to another class and you go to the bathroom and you see your friends. And then you go settle down in another class. So are they giving them breaks every 45 minutes?
I wanna read this one because this one is fire. These white ladies brought the heat on this one. My high school student received a similar list. I called the counselor and informed them that I set the dress codes in my home, that shoes aren't allowed in bedrooms, nor should my child ever move his camera so that the class can see below his waist. His new list. Yeah, that's good. That's a good one. And it is, I mean,
that's what I said. I'm like, how are they going to police this? How do they even know you got pants on? Do you have to prove it every day in class? I mean, you don't know if I have pants on right now, Brandon.
I mean, I can guess. I can just stare at you. I can look into your eyes. I'm thinking pants. I guess I won't know until So I would really like to keep on Twitch, but after it goes off, who knows what'll happen?
So you know what? From now on, every time I'm on the show, we're gonna play
Pants or no pants.
Pants or No Pants. We're gonna play Pants or No Pants.
We could all do that. That would be like a game to play with the audience. Winner gets a $20 gift card.
From who?
I don't know. I think we all put in $5.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you'd like to put in $5, patreon.com/notsafe, supporting the fine journalism that we do. $1. And by the way, I mean it, that like we might close the gate on this. $1 gets you access to our post show. We haven't run one today, and we haven't run one yesterday, but we've run them like practically every day for the last couple of weeks before that. And this is just where you get more of what we do. We did a whole thing about the 100 most important people in history and whether they were tops or bottoms. We did some viral videos with the Karen meltdown, and we got very, very deep in socioeconomic.
Why did you not call me for that show?
I don't think we had met you, Leslie. That might have been the day or two before we met.
We have to do that again.
We can always, absolutely. Oh, wait, are we talking about the 100 most?
Either one.
Oh, yeah, okay. That one was like last. So, yeah, more of these, but with Leslie, who's a master of the radio format anyway.
Well, I don't know about all that.
I bet you have okay, well, you have like if we have to play make up a game for a radio show, you probably have like 10 good ones, right? Like you just came up with Pants or No Pants, like just now.
Okay. Well, let me drink some more, and I can probably come up with a whole shit ton of things.
There you go. You are really filling my slot here, because that's usually my catchphrase. That's incredible. And
you know what? If you do pay that $1 or $5, then you can find out next week who has pants on and who doesn't.
That's right. Pants or no pants. There's a lot of work to do. I will.
We have to show it.
That's right. We'll be showing feet on every. We'll be showing feet on every stream.
Oh, we may be showing more.
This is what you've got to have. So anyway, thank you for watching. Leslie, you're incredible. You're the best. And everybody else, you're okay too. We'll see you next time. Don't
forget, Andrea and I will be doing Into the Abyss this Friday at 8:00.
Into the Abyss is this Friday. Tomorrow, Bethany Howard, if you watched the Hill of Roses presidential supporters debate, Bethany Howard was there for Mark Charles, the independent Navajo running for United States president. And she did a great job, kind of a surrogate. So she's going to talk a little bit about Mark Charles. And we're also going to hang out and do other things that are like funny and fun and entertaining. So, yeah, you want to be here. You want to be here for everything that we do here. So follow at NSF Wonks on Twitter and also donate to the Patreon. So that's it. We'll talk to you later. We'll see you after a while. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.